Good morning, Boker Tov. Welcome back to Living with Emunah. So wonderful to see good friends, visitors, guests. Thank you for joining. Always amazing to be together. I want to thank our Emunah series sponsors, Doctors Avi and Bella Morgan, in memory of Rabbi Dr. Brian Galbert. The privilege of meeting Bella's sister the other night at a wedding. Very grateful to the Morgan family, and in memory of Dr. Ellen Chanzer. This morning is also sponsored by Ram Deshival in honor of Penny Perlman and Carol Wall, with tremendous appreciation for their friendship. They are great friends and worthy of honor. And by Moshe and Chaya Wolf in memory of their good friend Peralea Bas Yisrael Gershon, who lost a short battle of cancer, and Neshama should have an aliyah. Also, I want to dedicate this morning's shir to a member of our community who was a past president, who worked tirelessly for our community, whom we will miss terribly, Jerry Kamenetsky, Yehuda Leib ben Moshe Chaim. And I want to dedicate the shir in his memory, but also tell you a story. I was meeting with his family the other day after he passed away, and his son Shimon shared the most incredible story with me, and he said it again yesterday at the Levaya, Shimon. And it really bears repeating, almost as our opening Emunah email. We'll share a few emails, and we'll get back into the text of David Abu Chatzera, Shlita, that we had started studying together. So Jerry, unfortunately, very quickly took very ill and had a rapid decline. And on Sunday morning, Noam and Shimon and Gigi were home. They got a call they should come to the hospital. It was before Noam and Shimon had davened, so they went to the hospital, and they were by their father's bedside. And at some point, when it seemed that there were a couple moments of stability, they went to the Shabbos room, the Bikur Cholim room at Boca Regional Hospital, to be able to daven. So they went to go daven, and Gigi said, "Could you bring back a sitter? Because I forgot a sitter at home, so bring back a sitter I want to be able to daven to." They went to the Shabbos room, the Bikur Cholim room, and while Shimon was davening, he thought to himself, his father had slipped out of consciousness. I didn't get a bracha from my father. He's so sick, he's declining. I don't know if he'll come out of this. I was desperate. I didn't get a bracha, that last conversation, to be blessed by my father. He grabs a sitter in the Bikur Cholim room, the Shabbos room at the hospital, and returns to his father's hospital room. At that point, the decline was so rapid, the doctor said it was imminent. He used the sitter in order to say vidoy with his father. The last moment, the last conversation to ask forgiveness from Hashem, from the people around us, the vidoy that we say with someone on their deathbed. And he finished saying the vidoy, heartfelt, emotional, painful. He closed the sitter, and his nephew, our beloved Eitan Kamenetsky that we all know, looked at the sitter, and he said to his uncle Shimon, Did you look inside the sitter? The opening inside of the sitter? So Shimon opened the sitter, and he said, yeah, it says, return to the Bikur Cholim room. Don't take it from the sitter. So what? Yeah, I'll bring it back. It's fine. We'll put it back. He goes, no. Look at the other side. And this is the other side. The sticker on the other side of the sitter, they randomly hadn't davened, so they randomly went to the Bikur Cholim room and randomly grabbed a sitter to randomly bring back, to randomly be able to say vidoy. And the inside of the sitter says, donated to Bikur Cholim of South Palm Beach County by Gigi and Jerry Kamenetsky, in honor of our children and grandchildren. So Shimon said, I got the bracha from my father. I got the bracha. Hashem had orchestrated and organized that we'd grab a sitter with a label, my father, dedicated in honor of us and our children. They said vidoy from that sitter for their father, and that was the bracha. He got that last bracha from his father. So again, we do this every week. I'm shocked you all keep coming back, but I'm grateful. I'd be sitting here anyway because I need it, but I'm so grateful you all keep coming back. We say the same thing every week. You could live life, and you could say, what a coincidence. What a coinky-dink. What a chance. Random. Wow. What are the odds? That's it. Well, the odds are decent. I mean, Gigi and Jerry live here. They were friendly with Stan Smith, and they donated. Okay, there's odds. Yeah. I don't know how to calculate the odds, but what are the odds? Obviously, they're better than my winning the Mega Millions last night, which I did not. Not for me, for this campus. I want to get back to work and not have to. So, but anyway, nobody won, so I didn't lose. I didn't lose last night. We just didn't win. But anyway, the odds are better than that. You could say, it's random, it's chance, it's a coincidence. There's no random and chance. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is winking, he's nodding, he's hugging. Shimon, Noam, Gigi, they felt Hashem gave them a hug. They're at the deathbed of their father, their husband. But when they saw that sticker in the sitter, that Hashem had brought them to that room, grab that sitter, bring it back, check inside. There are no coincidences. Everything is for a reason. Everything is for a reason. His neshama should have an aliyah. Jerry was a very special person. We wish a lot of love and nachama to his family. Rabbi Moskowitz and I were in New York on Sunday, in and out, quick for a wedding, a beautiful simcha, Baruch Hashem. And when we landed, we went to go to get something to eat. And where we were going to take an Uber to the wedding. And it should have been a place that it's easy to get an Uber from, very prominent location in New Jersey. And I ordered on the Uber app, I think 4 or 5 Ubers in a row said they were coming and then canceled. And here I'm looking at the clock and watch and thinking, we got to get to this wedding. That's the whole reason we're here. And now we're going to be running late, and I can't believe it. And we're standing there in the parking lot. It wasn't freezing cold, but it's cold, colder than here. And what do? Keep hitting Uber and nothing's coming. Rabbi Matt, you try on your Uber app, I'll try on my Uber app. All of a sudden, a guy comes up to us, not Jewish, and he says, you need a ride? Now, you get that in the airport and elsewhere, and usually you turn that down, but I was feeling pretty desperate. And he says, you need a ride? I specialize in driving Jewish people. Okay. It's a little bit of a flag. I don't know where you drive them and drop them off and what you do with them there. Anyway, so he wants to show me, so he takes his phone, puts in contact, he puts in Jew, and all these names come up that he saved. Abraham Jew, Moshe Jew, Sprinza Jew, he saves them all as Jew, all these people I drive. I said, what does that mean? He said, I live in Passaic, and I drive all these Jewish people whenever they need to go. So you know what, we got to go somewhere. I said, you're not going to kidnap us and kill us, right? He said, no, that was good enough for me. So we got in the car. And I knew we were in good shape. Why? Because he said, don't worry. I got a playlist for you. And he plays Yishai Reba. He's got a playlist. This non-Jewish guy's got a playlist of Jewish music. And he's talking to us all about Passaic and the schools and the shuls. And he's, anyway, he was a great driver. I got his name, got his number. Hashem's. So Uber, I got listed under Jew in his phone. So Uber kept canceling because we had to go with the Jewish driver. We had to go with this guy. Hopefully we made a Kiddush Hashem. No coincidences, no chance. Everything is from Hashem. A couple quick emails, and we'll get back. Again, it's the filter, it's the glasses, it's the way to live life. You could get all panicky. Where's the Uber? No one's coming. They keep canceling. We got to go. We're going to be late. Or you could say, okay, we're not stuck. We're not lost. This is where we're meant to be. We weren't irresponsible. We checked Waze right before lunch. How long should it take to get there? We were responsible. Checked the way, the Uber. Everything we did, our initiative, we were responsible. So, okay, we'll get there when Hashem decides it's the time for us to get there. And he did decide, and he always has a plan. He always has a plan. Rabbi Goldberg, I'm in my 30s and single, and watching my younger brother get married recently brought me so much joy. I know all too well it shouldn't be taken for granted, and yet it has also come along with some pain as it draws a spotlight on what I wish I had. Last week, before listening to your shir, the Meaningful People podcast popped up on Spotify, so I decided to listen. They were interviewing Amy Barron, who runs the organization I was supposed to have a baby. Her interview at some point asked what she would want to say to her audience who's struggling and isn't where they want to be yet. She paused and pointed out how that word yet is so powerful and holds so much hope, and she appreciates him adding it in. The interview went on, and then I continued to listen to the Emunah shir. And as I went along with my Shabbos cooking, you shared emails you always do, and a few were from people who are also struggling to find their partner or with fertility challenges. At some point you mentioned these stories are powerful because they don't all end with a positive outcome. These stories are from people who have Emunah, even though they don't have that happy ending yet. Was it a coincidence? Twice in a row, you both happen to take pause and linger on the word yet. I could choose to see it as nothing more than a coincidence. Instead, my mindset has shifted, largely thanks to the shir, and I saw it as a little wink from Hashem. What were the chances this week I happened to listen to both on Spotify, back to back, one after another? What were the chances you both decided to take a second and linger on that word, yet? I felt like Hashem put those words in your mouth just for me. It was like Hashem sending a nod my way, saying, hang in there. Have Emunah. I have a plan for you. It's just not your time yet. It was exactly the words I needed to hear. Thank you for the shir. Help me open my ears, notice these nods, feel that Hashem is with me, even if I'm not where I want to be yet. I sent that email to Amy Barron as well, because it was directed to her too. I don't know why Hashem puts these words, but obviously they mean something to people, and they give us the chizuk to hold on, to hang on. We're not lost, we're not stuck, we are where we're meant to be. We're not where we want to be yet. It's not over, and we're not done. Dear Rabbi Goldberg, hope all is well. Thank you for the Torah, the Emunah, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. My husband returned to Miluim 2 weeks ago for the second time, which has been a true test of Emunah. We think we have Emunah tests because the Uber didn't come. It's garnished. Husband's in reserve duty, Miluim, for the second time. for the second time. Personally, it's easy to feel deep connection of faith to HaKadosh Baruch Hu when life has the normal complications. But this has been a real test for me. I'm home with our 2 and our 4-year-old, trying to maintain routine, joy, laughter, and honesty. They both know that Abba is in Israel helping the Am. Last night was particularly challenging for me. I had an internal pit of fear, had a hard time being present and patient with my children. I did not share with my kids how I was feeling, nor why I was scared. I brought them up for bedtime, and while I was getting my 2-year-old into pajamas, my 4-year-old started singing the Tefillah for Chayalim. I started crying. In our house, we try to implement the idea of talking to Hashem both in davening as well as personal prayers. But my children are 2 and 4. How much could they actually internalize? They internalize. I thanked my 4-year-old for reminding me to speak to Hashem. My husband still has another few weeks until Baruch Hashem comes home. I'm utilizing this time to hone in on my Emunah, thanks to the shir, which has helped strengthen the Emunah when I'm feeling Emunah-li weak. That's a new word. Emunah-li. Emunah-li weak. These are our heroes. These are our heroes. My friend, who I guess heard me talk about and has an ice bath in his backyard that he loves when soldiers, he said soldiers who come back use it all the time. So yesterday morning I woke up, he sent me a little video, and he said straight back from Lebanon, and it was a soldier in his ice bath. And I just wrote back, heroes on ice. There's Disney on ice. There are heroes on ice. I want every day. You can only see his neck up. It's not a video. But it's here he is in the ice bath. The soldier right back from Lebanon. All of our soldiers today are back from Lebanon. Please God, it should last and stick and stay forever. A peace and a quiet. And just heroes on ice. I want a daily video of a hero on ice, combining some of my favorite things. Idea of heroes and ice baths. But anyway, so these are our heroes. This woman, not only the people in Miluim, their wives and children, this 4-year-old singing the Tefillah for Chayalim, a child in Israel today, that's their bedtime song, the Tefillah for Chayalim, for their father, his second tour of duty. Dear Rabbi Gober, thank you for the life-changing Emunah, blah, blah, blah. Every week it's like Hashem is giving the exact words I need to hear. Regarding being in the right place, even if it doesn't feel like it. I recently graduated for a certificate job, and it's taking longer than I expected to find a new job. I feel stuck at my current job, which is work that I don't especially enjoy, and the schedule is difficult. But I keep trying to remind myself there's a reason I'm still here. And the minute Hashem wants me to have a different job, he'll show me the way there. A few years ago, when we moved from here to there, we intended to rent a house for the first year to make sure the new community was the right choice for us. The only house available was a great house that had been on the market for 6 months, but the owners couldn't find a buyer. They agreed to let us rent for a year in the hopes they would find a buyer after the year was up. We bought the house 10 months later, and everyone was happy. The woman who owned the house later told me she found it very difficult to understand why they couldn't sell the house all those months. It's a great house on a great block, and they were asking a fair price. Once she met our family and saw that it worked out really well, she realized Hashem was taking care of our family. All those months of waiting had a purpose, and she was happy it worked out the way it did. Sometimes we get to see the purpose of our waiting, and sometimes we don't. Trying to keep that in mind, whether I can understand or not, my waiting has a purpose. It's Hashem's immense love and kindness that keep me where I am, because for now, this is where I'm meant to be. Last one, and this is a little bit of a difficult one, and I want to use it to launch into the Torah for this week. This was a difficult one. It's a difficult one. From a young man. Good morning, Rabbi Goldberg. Hope all is well. I had a question for the Rav and his support group and would love some advice, help, or chizuk. That's you, by the way. Over the last 6 months, I've taken part in a few Tehillim WhatsApp chats. This is a new, again, technology is a double-edged sword. Technology can distract and destroy. Technology can be terrible. Technology is a gift and a blessing that can be leveraged for incredible things. And one of the ways that technology is leveraged for incredible things are the Tehillim WhatsApp groups. We're round the clock. People here in Israel, time changes. People just pick up, they say the next number or a few kapitelach they're saying. Someone picks up from there. And when there's a sick person, Tehillim can be said around the clock nonstop on these WhatsApp groups. It's incredible. So this letter writer writes, over the last 6 months, I've taken part in a few Tehillim WhatsApp groups. Without exaggeration, Tehillim have been finished hundreds of times on these chats. Unfortunately, none of the cholim lived to see the support and love they received. My Rosh Hashiva, my 11th grade Rebbe, who was also the Rav of my shul for my entire life, my grandfather, and just this week, my close friend's father. And now I've joined another Tehillim cycle. He names the person, the soldier. And to be quite honest, it's very hard for me to believe the next chat will work. I still do what I can, and I do it anyway, but it's hard after seeing the hundreds of cycles didn't save these incredible people. I know people say this to be nice, but we're talking about giants of people who people looked at as a North Star. Any advice will help. Thank you again for yada, 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 he wrote. And he signed his name. I think we all feel this way at times. We're pouring our heart, 14 months, hostages aren't home. Where are all these Tehillim going? What's the point of all this tefillah? Why are we davening? How many people in our own lives did we daven? Did we storm the gates of heaven? How many people did we cry countless tears? Did we protest? Did we beg? Did we grovel? And the answer was no, and no, and no. And this young man, in 6 months, got a lot of no's. His Rosh Hashiva, his Rebbe, his Rav, his grandfather, his friend's father, all these groups. He's saying, tell him, all these free moments, all these subway rides, all these downtime. And it all adds up to no, no, no. So you say, why am I going to ask again? What is the point? And why bother? It's a powerful, powerful question. These other emails are like, oh, I want to share that one. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, that inspires me. Oh, that's so beautiful. That person had that great attitude. And I got this email and it was like a punch in the stomach. Not only because he's describing how he feels, because he was putting into words how often many of us feel. So I want to just share briefly, because you could really elaborate for a long time. And there were more emails I got this week. We're going to share them in the future. Keep sending emails. If I don't read it that week, don't think it's not worth sending. They all mean something to me and to everyone else. So please keep sending. The Gemara in Brachos Daf Vav and Beis tells us, Kol hakovea makom letfilaso, anybody who sets a place for their davening, Elokei Avram be'ezro, the God of Avram will help them. Ukeshemes, and when a person who has a makom kavua for tefillah, says the Gemara, a person who has a set place where they daven, that person who's imitated and emulated Avram by having a set place to daven, when that person dies, Omrim lo, they say, E anav e chassid, wow, what a humble person, what a pious person. Mitalmidav shel Avram Avinu. This person was a student of Avram Avinu. Wow, that's a lot for simply having a set place for davening. What does it mean to have a makom kavua? A makom kavua means a set place. It means that our life shouldn't be random or chance or all over the place. Person should have a set place where they daven. Set place. Where are we talking about? Most of the Rishonim, most of the commentators in the Gemara say the makom kavua means in shul. Don't sometimes sit here and then your friend is there and then the other one you want to talk to is up there and then the seat was over here. You have a set place. Now it happens to be our shul. Doesn't have a makom kavua in the sense you're not entitled to throw anyone out of your seat. A makom kavua, the Mishnah Berurah, the Chavetz Chaim writes in his Mishnah Berurah, means anywhere within 4 amos, wherever you like to sit, draw a circle 6 feet around it, and you're still in your makom kavua. It means a general area. That's my area. You sit on the left side, you sit on that right side. That's my area. If someone's sitting in your seat, certainly when you get there late, don't throw them out. Then you're not a student of Avram Avinu, you're a student of other people, and we don't say such nice things about you. So it's important to have a general area where we sit. It's not haphazard. It's not scattered. You have some consistency to us, but not to the extent that you're throwing someone out of a seat. Most understand it's talking about in shul. Rabbeinu Yonah says, no, it's not talking about in shul. Rabbeinu Yonah says, where is it important to have a makom kavua? Shul is the makom kavua. If you made your way to shul, the whole shul is a place designated and dedicated to davening. Where do you need a makom kavua? Listen carefully. In your house. In your house. Don't sometimes daven in the living room, sometimes in the den, sometimes in the kitchen, sometimes while you're bringing the dishes to the sink, sometimes while you're picking up the toys in the playroom, sometimes you need a makom kavua l'tefillah. Shul is the whole makom kavua, is a dedicated space. A person should designate a space. If you have it, beautiful. If you don't, go home today, order online one of those Mizrach signs, east, and find that spot and say, this is my spot. This is the spot that when I go to here, I leave my phone behind. I leave everything that distracts me behind. And that's where I go for a few minutes of peace, serenity, a few deep breaths, and to lose myself in conversation with Hashem. A makom kavua. You can have one indoors. You can have one in your backyard or on your porch. You can have a few. Rabbeinu Yonah says, you don't need it in shul. Shul is the makom kavua. Where do you need it? In your house, says Rabbeinu Yonah, a makom kavua. And I have to tell you, it's transformative. It's transformative. Instead of it being haphazard and scared and scattered and where should I go? And I'm going to do other things and multitask, which means you weren't really davening, because if you weren't giving Hashem your attention, you weren't really in a conversation. Where's that spot? Where's my stender? Where's my chair? Where's my couch? Where's my seat? Where's my corner? Where's my spot? When I go there, that's where I go to. If you have a chapel in you, it's a chapel. Most people, where's my spot? Where do I go to be able to daven? Rabbeinu Yonah is talking about in shul. I will tell you, just as an aside, I happen to believe it's critically important. A person needs to have consistency. Why is the Gemara saying this is important? Makom kavua. Why can't it be every day? It depends how I feel, where I want to be, what the moment grabs. No. Because a person needs to have a certain habit, a certain pattern, a certain consistency. I recommend, if a girl's on a date, a young lady's on a date, she says to the young man she's with, where do you daven? What's your schedule like every day? If he says, I've got this great minyan factory in my community, and there are minyanim from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m., Shachris, every 15 minutes, and they're beautiful and they're wonderful. We're incorporating a lot from them into our shul. You may have walked by our slushy machine, coffee machine, water machine, our cinnamon buns, and soon to be crock pot with a hot soup for a cold day. We're trying to incorporate a lot. We've added minyanim. They're beautiful when you're a certain age and stage of life. But when you're a young man, let's say you're in yeshiva, the answer shouldn't be, it depends when I wake up. If the answer is it depends when I wake up, you're not a go-getter. A person has, this is when I wake up. I wake up like a lion. I roar to greet the day. What do I want to accomplish? What do I want to achieve? And that doesn't mean you're at the 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. minyan. It could be you roar at 7 or 8 a.m. But yeah, this is my minyan. This is my seat. This is my gabbai. This is my sitter. And then I go for that. And then I do that. And that's where I show up. I'm at my desk at work or I'm at my table with my chavrusa. This is my life. If a guy says, it depends when I wake up. Depends. Every day is different. Depends what I did, how late I was up the night before, where I was, what I was doing, how late I wake up. To me, no judgment. That's a flag. That's a flag. I wouldn't want my children. I want them to be with people. This is my menu. This is where I wake up. This is where I go. This is my schedule. I'm not talking about you have a certain day, a bad day. You had a wedding. You had a flight that was delayed. You had a whatever. I'm not talking about exceptions to the rule, but there's a rule. I feel better. I got that out of my system. Now back to our regular schedule program. Now back to my point. Why am I telling you this? What does this have to do with Avram Avinu? And this makes you great. You have a set place in shul or at home. And so when you die, we give you a eulogy. You are a student, a disciple of Avram. Anav, chassid. Wow, how humble, incredibly modest, how pious. What a special person. Because you had a set seat in shul? Because you made a little corner at home? That's what it means? So I saw an incredible interpretation. You know what it means? Where do we learn? Where does the Gemara learn the idea that you should have a set place to daven? From Avram. When did Avram return to the same place to daven? After what? After what did he daven for? Sodom. Hashem tells Avram, am I going to conceal and hide from Avram everything I'm going to do? I can't. Avram's my man. In the world where no one sees me, talks to me, believes in me, Avram's my man. And he's paying it forward. He's passing it on to his children. I can't hide anything from it. I've got to tell him. So he tells Avram, I'm destroying Sodom. And what does Avram do? He says, well, you're God. You're infinite. You're omnipotent. You're perfect. And I'm not. And I guess if that's your plan, what do I have to say? No. You know what Avram does? He says, no, you're not. Over my dead body, if there's 50 righteous people, 45, 40, 30, 20, 10, you can't do that. I'm protesting. If there are good people, you can't do bad things to good people. I'm protesting, God. Don't do it. God says, okay, I'll take that into account. I hear and register your protest. But in the end of the day, I'm God. You're not. I'm doing it anyway. And Avram says, okay, I accept that. I gave it my best shot. From here we learn, we've said many times in the shir, from here we learn, Avram gave us the license, the invitation to protest God. This is the source. Someone's sick. Someone's waiting to get married. Someone's waiting to have a child. Soldiers are fighting on a battlefront. Hostages are being held. We say, Hashem, I protest. How could you do this? Where are you? It's wrong. I disagree. I'm protesting. But like Avram, sometimes when the answer is no, we have to accept a no. Avram hears no. Now, if you're Avram, You just entered a negotiation. You're sweating, you're schwitzing. You battled it out with Hashem. 50, 45, 40, 30, 20. You negotiated, you fought. Any righteous people, you can't do it, please. You protest, you fight. You leave it all on the field. And you got a big fat no. And you watch stone go up in smoke. Are you Avram? You ever going to daven again? You got to know, what was the point of the protest? You wasted your energy, your emotion. What was the point? What does Avram do? He goes back. And he consistently goes back. And he has a place. And it doesn't just mean physically, geographically, the coordinates. He went back to the place he davened. He went back to the place he davened. He went back with all of his heart and all of his soul, with all of his yearning, all of his longing, all of his faith, all of his belief, all of his hope. And he kept going back again and again and again and again. And that's what it means to have a makom kavua l'tfilah. So it doesn't just mean physically, geographically, the stender, the seat, the chair, the spot, the place. It doesn't just mean to return to that physical place. It means to return to that enthusiasm, that passion, that energy, to never let it wear out, to never let it dissipate, but to keep coming back again and again and again and again. Were Avram's tefillas for Sdom a waste? Absolutely not. I think it's the Chassam Sofer. Others say, what happened? Where did they go, those prayers for the people of Sdom? God gave them a no. Where did they go? They were banked. They're banked. And we don't know when Hashem makes a withdrawal. And so to the one who wrote this email, all those Tehillim chats, all 6 months, those Tehillim were not for naught. And they were not a waste. They were not a waste. They didn't go down the drain. They weren't in the garbage. Just because they didn't get the answer that you and we wanted doesn't mean that they were a waste. We don't know which soldier was saved because of those Tehillim, which hostage will come home because of those Tehillim, which chola will get healed because of the Tehillim, which person will have a baby because of those Tehillim. We don't always get to connect the dots. We can't draw the line. We can't see exactly the withdrawal and the deposit. But we make deposit. And somewhere else, someone on the other side is making withdrawal after withdrawal. And we can't always see the correlation between the two. Never stop making those deposits. We say in Tehillim throughout the month of Elul, in L'David Hashem, it ends, Kaveh el Hashem chazak v'yametz libecha, the Kaveh el Hashem. Kaveh, Lashon tikva, hatikva. Kaveh means hope. Hope. Put your hope in Hashem. Chazak v'yametz libecha. Be strong, have courage in your heart, the Kaveh el Hashem. And our rabbis deduce from that, the Gemara Brachos Lamed Hey says, Kaveh el Hashem, daven to Hashem. Chazak, have courage, have strength. And when he says no, Kaveh el Hashem, come again, ask again. Don't stop pounding the pavement. Don't stop protesting. Don't stop asking. Don't ever stop. So it can feel like after 6 months, it can feel like a whole lot of no's. A whole lot of no's. You remember what Mrs. Waxman, Esther Waxman, taught all of us when her son, soldier, Nachshon, was taken captive, held hostage, and the Israeli commandos, in a heroic effort, went to go try to save him, but they were too late. Nachshon Waxman, Hashem Yikom Damo, was killed. But when he was first kidnapped, it was a Friday that Nachshon's parents went on Israeli TV and asked all of Israel, millions of people, especially those who had never done it before, to light candles that Friday night in his merit that he come home. Everyone light candles and offer a prayer. He'd be rescued, he'd be returned, that he come home. And the commanders went in for that operation. He was murdered, he was killed. He never came home. And the Waxmans went back on TV, afraid in their own shiva, not lost in their own grief, but connected still with Klal Yisrael. They went back on TV and they had a message. For all those who prayed, don't think that Hashem didn't hear. He heard every prayer. Sometimes the answer is no. Anyone else who says that, in that moment, at that time, after what they went through, they taught us still now, all these years later, decades at this point later. Sometimes the answer is no, but those prayers were not wasted, were not squandered. They were deposited. They were banked. And we don't know when we, our children, or grandchildren, or Am Yisrael will need to make a big withdrawal, and we need that account to be as full as possible. As full as possible. You can even picture it. Hashem has some repository where these WhatsApp groups, he's collecting all of the, every time someone posts the next number, they said the next paragraph. Every time when you stay after a shir that we give, and we go through all the little booklets, Hashem has this repository, and there's a file of all the little booklets, and a file of the WhatsApp groups, and a file of the people no one knows about. They were driving in their car, doing the laundry, mumbling a Tehillim, talking to Hashem, and there's just deposits, and there's this big file cabinet, this big repository, and he's collecting it all. And then he looks down at a moment, at a crisis, at someone in trouble, and he says, I'll make a withdrawal. That person who made the deposit will never know, but only because the bank account is full am I able to make the withdrawal. So it's painful to lose so many loved ones, to daven so hard and to get so many no's, but they weren't wasted, they weren't squandered. And don't stop asking. We need to keep asking. So it's gotten us through 2,000 years of exile, of gullus. So it's going to bring the geula. It's who we are and what we're about. It's the recognition. It's not wasted, it's not squandered. It's always from him. We're on page Zion, this new Sefer Emunah Bitachon. We're ready to start. The new Sefer Emunah Bitachon, Rav David Avuchatzera. The Sefer was released now, given all that's going on. I hope he and Nahariya and the others at North will be safe. Hope those heroic communities can go home. 80,000 people displaced. Unbelievable. The debt of gratitude Am Yisrael owes those 80,000 people. Not in their homes, not in their schools, not at their work, not working their fields and their vineyards. If they go back to those vineyards, we got to just buy. We're going to take one for the team and not stop drinking wine. Because we're Zionists. So we're going to drink a lot of wines, make a lot of l'chaim, to their being able to go home. But we have to find a way to not be fatigued from helping and caring and thanking. We're on the second paragraph. A Jew, a Yid, has to know that everything that happens and everything that passes over a person all their life, everything that happens is like an axe in the hand of the chopper. Nothing is random and nothing is chance. The Ubers keep canceling. That's what's supposed to happen right now. The red light, the traffic, the delayed flight, that report, that answer, that job, the door closed and another door opened. No chance. It's all by design. This is who and where and when and why everything that happened is supposed to happen. Never get phased. Never get frazzled. Never get bent out of shape. I'll tell you, my first instinct was, I got to report all these Uber drivers. Who's saying yes, then canceling, then I'm going to be late. I got to get to a wedding. Don't they know who I am? What's the matter? What's going on over here? I'm going to report them. I got to ruin their rating. They should lose their... No. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take care of them. Whatever their calculation, whatever their moment. If the Uber's canceled, it's because you weren't meant to get in that car. And who knows what you were spared? Who knows what could have happened? Who knows what kind of reckless driver? Who knows what was wrong with their car? The flat tire they were going to get, making you really late. Who knows? But don't look at your app and go crazy. Don't look at your app and want to crawl into it and strangle all these Uber drivers who keep canceling. Look at your app and say calmly, okay, I guess not that one either. And I guess not that one either. Hashem, what's the plan here? You always got a plan. What's the plan? The plan is I'm sending you the non-Jew from Passaic. I'm sending you the non-Jew from Passaic who's got a long list of Jews in his phone. Hopefully for the right reasons. Everything is for a reason. K'moshe Amra b'makom nosaf, v'zel lashon lashon zav behira, kol ha'mikrim sheba'olam ha'kol b'ashkacha pratis min hashamayim, kanoda b'shem tzadikim shafilu kasha aruach mefazro mimakom. Even the straw, the grass, the leaves that are blowing from one place to the other, those leaves that keep falling in your pool, the leaves, no matter how many times you ask the landscaper to blow them out of your backyard and they keep falling, that's where they're meant to be. That's why they keep coming back. Not only for us and Uber drivers, leaves and wind. It's all from Hashem. It's all hashkacha. For the one who tans the hides, the leather skin hanging, you said, where it is and how the recipe turns out and what works out and what was left at the supermarket and did they run out of the... It's all from Hashem. So you never lose your cool. That's why the great people that you know, calm. They're calm. They're calm. I have the privilege to know and to meet with great, great people. My last trip a couple weeks ago to Eretz Israel, I met with Rav Melech Biederman. I met with the Ger Rosh Yeshiva. You meet with great people. They're carrying the world on their shoulders, the world's problems, the people who are meeting with them, what they're davening for, their responsibilities. And when you meet with them, there is no one and nothing else in the world but you. It's amazing. And then you meet the person who's doing nothing, contributing nothing, in charge of nothing, responsible for nothing, and they're so busy and frazzled, and they can't take it, and they're so upside down, and they're so angry, and they're so resentful, and they're so bitter. And you meet with these great people, the whole world's on their shoulder. All there is in the world is you, and they're calm, and they're cool, and they're whatever it is, whatever it's going to be. Why? You ever meet with Rav Gamliel? Rav Gamliel, the great Kabbalist? He's unbelievable. He's practically jumping on the table, singing and dancing. He suffers all kinds of illness, chronic pain, challenges. He suffered loss, and he's dancing on the table with a smile across his face and an energy. He's twice your age. You can't keep up with. Great people have in common, we spoke about it last week, hishtavus, not hishtadlus. Hishtadlus is initiative. Hishtavus, from the language of shivisi Hashem lenegdi samid. Hishtavus is, it's all equal to me. Did everyone order the book? I get no commission, Moshe Gerst. I'm just promoting your book, but it's all the same to me. The name of his book, it's all the same to me. There's very few books that Rav Asher Weiss and Deepak Chopra are on the back of the book recommending. When I say there's very few books, it's the only book in the world that Deepak Chopra and Rav Asher Weiss both have a testimonial on the back of the book. His name is Moshe Gerst. He spoke here last year. You could also watch the interview I had with him online. And the name of the book is It's All the Same to Me. It's about equanimity, hishtavus. Calm, calm, calm. When you don't believe in Hashem, or when you only believe in Him academically, intellectually, conceptually, meaning you're observant, you go to shul, you learn the daf, you light the candles, you keep the Shabbos, but you've never ever once had a conversation with Him. You've never ever once felt He's involved in your life. You've never ever once submitted to Him or protested to Him. You could be fully observant and not believe in God. Let me rephrase that. You could be fully observant and practicing and believe in God, but have no relationship with God. And then you're going to get scattered and frazzled. Your highs are very high, your lows are very low, or hishtavas. It's all the same to me. Equanimity, it's equal. It's from Hashem. I don't know, I'm on an adventure. Uber's canceled. How am I getting to the wedding, Hashem? How's this going to work out? How's that going to turn out? What's the outcome of this going to be? I'm waiting for this job. I'm waiting for the shidduch. They're not here yet. Capital Y, capital E, capital T, exclamation point, yet. Because it's all from you, Hashem. It's all equal to me. Great people, that's how they live their life. Let's see how this is going to turn out. Everything. Mishkol shekain, mitzadei gever anosei me'ir le'ir. We said last week, this is the kavanah, the intent a person has to have when you make this bracha. One of the 15 berachas hashachar we say every morning, God, thank you for opening my eyes. Thank you that this works, that works, the other thing works. Hamechin mitzadei gaver. God, you prepare the footsteps of man. I don't know where my feet are going to take me today. I don't know. Where am I going to get called to go? I'm going to be on a walk. Who am I going to run into? What problem or solution is going to present itself to me that I never anticipated I was going to see today? Hamechin mitzadei gaver. You prepare my footsteps. So the simple understanding we said last week is Hamechin mitzadei gaver means thank you, Hashem, that my feet work. I woke up and nothing was swollen or broken or infected, and it all works. I don't need a hip replacement, a knee replacement, this replaced, the other replaced, the parts aren't breaking down. Thank you, Hashem. Get to a certain age and a stage, and you have much more kavanah for those brachos. This didn't break down, that still works. This is still okay. That checked out. It's not a small thing. When do you begin to appreciate it? When it no longer works, when the warranty wears off. That's when you begin to say the bracha with kavanah. If you want the warranty to last longer, say it with kavanah while it still works. Don't take it for granted. Hashem, thank you. I got it all working. So that's what I thought it meant. Hamechin mitzadei gaver. I'm grateful for you, Hashem. When I tore my Achilles and I had surgery and I was on that terrible knee scooter for that time, I couldn't get across a room while carrying svarim. I couldn't get across the room and also hold my own cup of coffee. I couldn't be independent on my own. And I realized, Hamechin mitzadei gaver. If you can walk and be independent and get from point A to point B and carry something and not spill it on yourself, you're ahead of the game. You won the lottery. Forget the Mega Millions. I'm not forgetting. I'd still like to win for the shul. It's not for me. It's for the shul. It's for the shul. But if you woke up this morning, your eyes are working, you successfully went to the bathroom, your feet on the ground, everything's working in order, you won the lottery. Isn't it amazing? What are the odds that you won the lottery yesterday also? And you also won the lottery 2 days ago and 3 days ago and 4 days ago. You won the lottery. Wow. It's all working. That's what we understood. But Rav David Abu Chatzera gave us this additional understanding. That Hamechem Mitzad Degaver means, Hashem, I'm prepared for wherever you take my footsteps today. Where are we going on this adventure called life? Where's the next journey? What's the next step? What door are you opening or closing? Where are you leading me to? I told you last week how I go for meetings, going for a walk. I'm still doing it as often as I can. And I went for a walk with someone and we ran into someone in crisis. And Hashem put us in that place, in that moment, at that time. That's where we were meant to be. Where will you be walking today? In Publix, the gym, the supermarket, work, in your home, outside your house, on the circle. Where will we be walking at that moment, in that time, in that place, and that thing happen? It's all Hamecha Mitzadei Gaver. The kavanah for that bracha is that wherever I go and whatever happens and whatever I encounter and whatever's the next step on my journey, it's all from you, Hashem. It's all from you. Says Rav David Abu Chatzera, all the more so now. We are in the days of Mashiach. This is it. He's coming. He's coming. You can begin to see he's coming. The miracles that are around us. Miracles. You know the miracle that happened last night? We don't even know the miracles. I don't even want to quote him because he didn't qualify for my list. I wrote maybe the strongest article I've ever written in my life this week, where I talk about when I say the bracha v'la mashinim, I have in mind Bernie Sanders, Peter Beinart, Beture Karta, J Street, v'la mashinim. And I wrote in the article, and I mean it, that Jews who collaborated with the Nazis had at least the argument they were doing so to save their lives. But Jews today who collaborate with our enemies by calling for embargoes against Israel to not be able to defend the lives of Jews around the world don't have that excuse. They're evil, v'lamashinim, we daven, that their plan should be unsuccessful. Unsuccessful. Thomas Friedman didn't make my list. Came close, but he didn't make my list. He had an article yesterday or 2 days ago. Second half of the article is horrific, as is his usual case. But the first half, he makes the point. He says because Israel doesn't flaunt and they don't flex what they do, that's their style. But do you know what Israel pulled off in Iran? He writes is no less than the 6-Day War. He writes how far it set back the nuclear program, how it eliminated their missile defense, how it took certain missiles, all literally and figuratively under the radar. He writes was no less than a 6-Day War. And do you know that last night, hours before this ceasefire went into effect, Israel said, okay, if it's being forced upon us, the ceasefire, you may have seen that in 2 minutes, there were 200 places in Beirut that went kablooey. Do you know what they blew up? In tunnels underneath in the Beirut, in this city, where the missile manufacturing that Hezbollah didn't know that Israel knew. But Israel said, okay, if we're going into timeout and we're taking a break, we're just going to do a little something on our way. And in 2 minutes, 120 seconds, they blew up 200 locations. The missile manufacturer, it was a miracle. It's a miracle that they knew it. They had the coordinates. They pulled it off without anything happening to them on the way into the sea. These are miracles. These are miracles that are happening. So anyone here who says, if I lived in the times of Tanakh and I saw miracles, I'd believe in God. If I lived and God spoke to me, I'd believe in God. Wake up! Wake up! The pager episode was a miracle that movies are made of. Movie scripts would be rejected because nobody would believe them. And we're living through them. And there are miracles. And does it break our heart? The soldier from Modi'in, my sister and his family know, who was injured since October 7th, was the longest standing in the hospital and succumbed to his wounds. And you sit and you wonder, like this letter writer, we've been davening for 420-something days for him. For what? For what was his family put through this hell? For what? To succumb to his wounds in the end? To not have this wake up? For what? For what? And every loss And every loss breaks and devastates our heart. But don't let them obscure our sight from seeing the miracles. There are miracles. Miracles. I'll end with this. I spoke last Shabbos. Hashem berachas Avram bakol. God blessed Avram bakol. He gave him everything. What's everything? The Ibn Ezra says, Arichas Yamim, he gave him longevity, Osher, wealth, Banim, children and grandchildren, Kavod, he gave him honor, a name, he gave him everything, right? It's a very funny pasuk. God gave Avram everything. What's the next pasuk? Avram says, ooh, there's something I'm missing. I don't have a wife. For my Yitzchak. I have a Yitzchak, but he's not married. I don't have grandchildren. So which is it? If he gave him everything, he's not missing. If he's missing something, you didn't give him everything. What does it mean? Hashem berachas Avram bakol. All the Svarim say the same answer. Cook writes in Noras HaTshuva very beautifully. What does it mean bakol? Bakol doesn't mean everything a checklist. I got the car, the house, the this, the that. No, it's not a checklist. To be blessed bakol is to have a panoramic view of the world. To see not only that little narrow view, to not only feel this pain, this ache, this krecht, this is what's missing, this is what I need, this is what I want, but to have a panoramic view of the world. Wow, this world is beautiful. The universe is in harmony. God is running an incredible world. And even with my pain, even with my suffering or struggle, even with what's missing in it, with this panoramic view, it's magnificent, magnificent view. It's an incredible, incredible world. Avram lived. So it meant that even in that moment that Yitzchak wasn't married, Hashem berachas Avram bakol, with what was missing, he saw panoramically everything. Wow, what a view. Wow, what a view. How did the end of the parsha go last week? Vayitenes Avram, God gives us kol asher lo liYitzchak beno. He gives his kol to Yitzchak. What does Yitzchak do with the kol? He gives it to Yaakov. Bakol, mikol, kol. With Avram it says Hashem berachas Avram bakol. Yitzchak it says mikol, and Yaakov it says kol. When Yaakov and Esav, spoiler alert, coming up in a couple weeks, when they reunite, Esav says Yeshli Rav, I've got a whole lot. And what does Yaakov say? Yeshli kol. No, I got my father and my grandfather's kol. Whatever I have, whatever is missing, but my attitude, my perspective, my philosophy, my approach to life is I see the big picture. I see the big picture. I live in the big picture, not just that little what's missing. That little what's missing. And what are we davening for? The end of benching. Harachamon yivarech es kol asher lanu. Commotion, just like you blessed Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, bakol mikol kol. Give us that blessing of a kol. Give us a panoramic view. So Chevra, join me in that panoramic view. Yes, every soldier, every loss of life is unbearably painful. We're not blind to it. It breaks our heart. But we also have the panoramic view. There are miracles, miracles, miracles. Another one last night, what they did in Beirut on the way out. A miracle. That's what Rav David Abu Chatzera says. Umikol shekein achshav bechevlei Mashiach. Eila masei b'nei Yisrael. These are the journeys of the Jewish people. Anuram kol ha'olam rak nosim lekan v'kan ve'ein nochim bebeisam nosim v'chozim nosim lakish lachapes parnasa. Ain't mikra chalila. Hashkacha protos ben hashamayim bezeh lekare v'sageula. We're running, we're going, we're doing, because, says Rav David, in the end of times, when Geula is coming, we got to run and go. The movement is so much faster. Running, going, doing. Hashem is moving us around, moving the parts around, because it's all unfolding. At the end of the show, at the end of the play, all of a sudden, the scenes get faster, and there's more active, and they're more dramatic, because we're at the end. We're at the end. And when the scenes are unfolding faster, the stage is changing quicker, because we're at the end of Chevlei Mashiach. We should be zocha, we should be blessed. Haracham and Yivarach. Osanu v'yas kol asher lanu. K'moshen is baruch ha'baseinu ram to v'Yaakov bakol mikol kol. Hashem should give us a bracha. We should see that panoramic view. It should have no narrowed-in loss. Only the big picture. It should be a day of besoros tovos, yeshuas v'nachamos. Keep banking those tefillos. Klal Yisrael need it. Please stay to add more Tehillim to the bank account of Am Yisrael. It'll take just a few minutes. Should hear besoros tovos, yeshuas v'nachamos.